my opinion on arm wrestling is way back on a Cauldron tour we did. We were drinking and arm wrestling, and my arm was so sore the next day that like, and it was like for weeks, maybe a month. Like it's just like not worth it.
Dan, thank you so much for coming. Welcome to Toronto. How was this excruciatingly long tour?
It's been pretty good, man. It's pretty, I mean, we're so tired. It's been so long. Like 10 days of touring is crazy.
You're about to jump into the States for a tour that's I think you're gonna play 26 shows in 30 days.
Sounds right, yeah.
And it's taking you from Texas up to Edmonton, back down to Florida or something like that. Are you ready to face so many elements in such a short time?
Yeah, like originally the tour was in October, and then we got pushed back to November, which is, I mean, anytime you're touring in Canada, it's like the winter months are tough. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So,
that's gonna be fun.
I mean, we've done it before. We can do it again.
Yeah. Now, you guys, and I mean, especially with this newest album, you have embraced a certain theme and image, let's call it.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys were maybe never like the deep prog jazz-inspired metal band. You were the Keck that destroyed New York or something like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, serious question. Like, it's almost down to a point that we don't expect you to write, or we wouldn't almost accept it if all of a sudden you guys come with like very serious song about some serious times in history. I'm just, making up.
Yeah.
Does that, in a way, does that feel sometimes a little limiting? Because now we just expect you guys to crush some beers and have some fun and joke around.
I mean, not really, because we kind of just do whatever we want anyways. Yeah. I mean, it's a nice thing. We're not on a label or anything like that, we just kind of do whatever we want. And it just happens that whatever we want is always that. Yeah, so I mean, even on the new album, there's some more like sort of serious leaning songs, but it's never that like,
never that deep.
Yeah, too deep.
Yeah. Now you mention it, you're an indie band. Now you have a team around you, depending on part of the business. I think you guys also recently signed up with a new booking agency and stuff like that. But you control a lot yourself. You own your own recordings, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
Having done this for a while now, and having been able to navigate some difficult parts, even getting albums, not only JUNO nominated but also JUNO winning albums and shit like that. You must have had, and everybody in the band, so many lessons. Is that something that has ever crossed your mind to start more actively supporting or coaching or managing other bands that want to be on that same journey as you guys?
I mean, no, because it's so much work. And kudos to people who do that, and while being in a band and managing other bands or whatever. For what it's worth, we're happy to give advice. Like we'll occasionally get people who hit us up who are younger bands who are like, hey, especially from Canada, who are like, hey, these guys who, we want to sign with this agency. Have you worked with them? Or, stuff like that. So it's like, we're always happy to give advice. We actually, way back, we reached out to Protest the Hero.
Yeah.
And asked them, because they did like a Kickstarter crowdfunding thing. Yeah. And so we messaged them and we're like, hey, can you answer this giant email of questions? And they were like, sure. So and they're super helpful for us and sort of steered us in the right direction how to do it. So happy to help if anybody needs advice.
You are, three very colorful, fun bands going on the road together. Yeah. You're all very different. Seven Kingdoms, Lutharo, you guys. But you have this kindred spirit of no longer, maybe is the right way of saying it, no longer trying to fit in a specific box. Is that a fair point? That if there's one thing that we should expect from you guys is that you're gonna give us a curveball anyway?
Curveball? Not really. I mean, we're just doing our thing. I think like for us, the new album direction is just sort of like, we used to be like, you got to wear a leather jacket.
Exactly.
You got to fit that thing, and then this time we were just like, well, it's a conversation you always have, like, what we got to take photos. What are we gonna wear?
Yeah.
And we were just like,
the answer was neon.
We're like, fuck, like I don't know, what should we wear? And Tim was like, well, I'm gonna be the weirdest guy in the fucking world, and I was like, okay, we'll just follow you then, man. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Tim was already starting to be more like eccentric. I think he's just having fun with it. It's like you kind of get bored after a while. It's like, you know, it's just not as fun, not as interesting. It's just like, you know, have the same style for so long, and just like, so yeah, we're just having fun with it. I mean, people seem to be stoked on it. There's a lot of pit vipers at the show. I did not wear mine today for some reason.
Now you mentioned that, let me just get into proper striker, you know, fashion here. That's probably better. There we go. One of the things that, you know, you guys are joking around with as well, and maybe Pete more than others, you know, trying to show, especially with this weather still, his guns. But I know from talking to Krista earlier that the Lutharo boys might be challenging Cam for arm wrestling competition. What's your stance there? You know, you guys are showing off a lot of muscle in video clips and on tour. What's going to happen?
My opinion on arm wrestling is way back on a Cauldron tour we did. We were drinking and arm wrestling, and my arm was so sore the next day that like, and it was like for weeks, maybe a month. Like it's just like not worth it to arm wrestle, because if you try really hard, you are so sore the next day. So I mean, guitar players that want to do that, just be ready. You're gonna get fucking tennis elbow.
Once this tour, which is already a brutal schedule, is done, you guys in Seven Kingdoms are going to continue on with Unleash the Archers in Europe, just announced, which is really exciting. Often bands that are, let's call them like that middle level, you know, metal band, you know, not quite the festival headlining band. You can only go to places like Tour Europe and the world these days in serious venues when you are supporting one of those legacy bands. Kind of cool to see that 3 quote-unquote younger bands, and I know that you guys have been around for a long time, as have Unleash the Archers,
we're young guys.
but you know, if we compare you to like the Priests and the Maidens, you know, you're a younger band. Cool to see that. Well, and also like 2 Canadian bands on a package together can sustain this kind of crowd these days. Like there seems to be an appetite more and more for bands that are not necessarily 50 years old, but somebody that brings a new wind. Do you see that as well?
Yeah, I mean, like that tour, we're probably going to pull a lot of the weight as far as getting people out to the shows. Like, Unleash the Archers, they're headlining, but I mean, I think most of the people are going to be there to see us.
Obviously.
No, I'm just kidding. No, it's been amazing to watch Unleash the Archers sort of like transcend into that next level.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing, and they're still willing to take us on tour, which is pretty cool.
Well, I mean, you guys had to Juno before them, so like,
I know.
Really,
don't worry, I tell them that all the time. Dude.
I bet you do.
And I like the way the wind blows, but I don't know where the time goes.
Now, hey, as you're just lifting your arm there, you know, people could see that that beautiful tattoo there, now, which is the Eye of Striker.
It is. Yeah.
So, is that just the unicum, or are there like hidden in places we don't know all the other letters?
This is the only tattoo I have. I don't know how people afford tattoos, dude. You can have 2 things. Maybe, at least for me, you can buy beer or you can buy tattoos. And I chose beer.
There you go. You chose beer. On that note, you guys were one of the bands that did the collab with Vox and Hops.
Yeah.
You know, what was this, 2 years ago now already? It was like the worst of the pandemic was behind us, but we were still kind of in that.
Yeah, it must have been 2 years ago then, yeah.
I think you guys did like a lime Mexican lager or something like that.
Yeah, it was like a lime lager. It was like a Bud Light lime.
Yeah. You know, with the image that you have of being somewhat of a beer drinking party group, when is the next one coming?
Dude, that's a good question. I mean, it's crazy because like, so we were like craft beer guys for a long time, and now all we drink is Bud Light because we're so like we're getting older, and it's just like, man, you'd have too many craft beers. It's like it's curtains. So
it might be a seltzer.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, seriously, it's going to be the lightest beer you've ever had, probably. But. I mean, yeah. Though, like we've had a few different beers opportunities come up, and it just kind of appeared randomly, and like it was cool. And I mean, the one beer we had was with a local brewery that we just worked with. Actually, Adam and Tim in the band, or well, Adam previously. They helped them with like their business plan for their brewery.
Yeah.
So then they're like, "Oh, I'll make you guys a beer, or whatever." It sort of made sense for us. But
Nice. So you mentioned earlier already, like, you know, we kind of just do whatever we want to do at this point. You guys have done very different things. Like, none of your albums are the same, which is cool.
Yeah.
On this latest album, you try some very new things as well. Knowing that, I'm sure you're already working hard on what's coming next.
not yet.
But what? Okay, let's put the question this way. Out of all the stuff that you kind of tried as a new thing, and you see now the album's out for a number of months now, you see how the fans are reacting to that. You know now what is fun to play as well. You can probably look at it from in a different light than when it just came out.
Yeah.
What's stuck that you threw at the wall for you that we should expect more of in the future?
I think it's just like I don't know exactly. Just I know like Best of the Best. That one's really stuck. I mean, as soon as we wrote it, we were like, this is
gonna work. You knew.
It's just so funny and like, that kind of thing. I mean, it's been fun to not take it too seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we ever really did, but it's just like a little bit less serious. Working with the producer was a big part of it too. Like we went with Josh Schroeder, and that was like the last three before that were all last three before that were all self-produced. Like we recorded it at home.
Yeah.
But it was nice to have like a producer's touch to be like, you know, a couple guys are like butting heads over certain parts, and you just have a guy be like, I like this way, so let's do that, and it's like, okay, that's nice, kind of move it along a little better.
Is that something that came with like that quote unquote maturity of letting somebody else in and giving you that outside perspective? Is that something that it was just not resource possible before, or is that something that the guys in the band kind of had to, you know, grow to accept? Because not every artist allows or is very happy to have that outside voice.
Yeah, I mean, like the first three we did were with producers, and then we were like, we can do this. Like we learned enough, we can do this.
Yeah.
And you do that for a while, and then you're like, maybe it is good to have a guy in there. So, we've kind of done both sides, and it's way more fun. Like it's way less work for us too, because you're like, you don't have to edit anything. Just do the thing. So, it's. I think we would be happy to go back again and work with Josh, or you know, if he's busy, someone else. But I'm sure Josh was awesome. So anybody out there looking for a great producer,
there you go.
Josh the man.
Right. So the lesson we take from this conversation is if there is a road of least resistance, that's where we find strike. Dan, thanks so much, man. Looking forward to the show tonight, and look forward to seeing all the good content that's going to come out of this tour in the fall, and then obviously the tour in Europe as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.